Adam Davis from Motion Performance Fitness here. Today I want to go over what's called functional muscle function. And this subject gets really complex in our industry today because what people think the muscles do really doesn't happen at all when we move outside the gym and in normal life. The key component here is if you're not moving right, you won't burn as many calories. You won't move right, so you're going to be putting joint stress on the joints. You're going to be putting tissue stress on the body, and that is the main reason why we result in pain issues. It's one thing to get into a car accident or be hit, traumatized in a sport, but when someone has an onset of pain, there's usually a story that's being told based on the muscle and movement patterns. So what we like to do is look at these muscles, see exactly what you are or are not getting, and then we fix that problem at Motion Performance Fitness. The term functional muscle function was derived by Gary Gray, the first time I ever heard it, from the Gray Institute in Adrian, Michigan. What you see in books, and we'll use this chart as our reference, what we see in books is it'll break down the muscle and it'll tell you what the muscle supposedly does. And that's what most physical therapists in our realm of medical training is designed to show us, that if something's not moving right, this is what the muscle's supposed to do. And later posts, we'll actually individualize each muscle group so we know which one is and isn't doing right. We'll do a whole educational series on each muscle. But for today, we want to get an overall view of an introductory to what the muscles do. The first and key component when you're looking at functional muscle function is muscles really don't produce motion hardly at all unless they're forced to. So let me explain that, because this is the hard concept to understand. When we look at all our muscles' main function is to decelerate triplane loading. And what we mean by that in layman's terms is when we walk and gravity pushes us into the ground, muscles simply turn on like light switches. All they're doing is they turn on and help control that deceleration of gravity. So in reality, when you see somebody walk or run and that foot hits the ground and you see that little flexion at the hip and at the knee, you see the knee bend, did any muscle actually produce that motion? The answer is no. Gravity produced that motion because gravity pulled us down, and what all those muscles did, the quad, the butt, the hamstring, even the calf, they turned themselves on to decelerate that loading and help control it so you don't keep going down. They didn't produce anything. Yet when you look into a book and you say, what does the hamstring do? Or what does the quad do? It'll tell you that it extends the leg and it flexes the knee, where in reality that doesn't happen at all. The reason why I point that out is because in today's rehab and training world, we'll put people in those positions just like the medical books say. Flex the knee and that'll strengthen your hamstring. But when it comes time to moving in a rotational manner and picking something up or catching your balance, that hamstring will now not understand how to decelerate and effectively move that way, because we trained you to flex the knee and not decelerate in all three planes of motion. Does this make sense? Hopefully it does. So in layman's terms, every single muscle on the body is designed to practically do the same thing. And that's decelerate loading of the body with gravity. That's the number one thing muscles are designed to do. Now there are very specificness to what muscles should do in that decelerated process, but the main thing I want you to take from this post is, and once again we'll get in a lot more detail later, is muscles don't really produce motion. If you're a person that's training to constantly produce motion, there's an injury coming. And it's not going to be too long. And even if it's a few years down the road, it's because you never addressed the reactiveness of the body. You know, muscles are reactors. they're not really producers. Although there is components of sport and physical training to be healthy where you have to produce motion, we get that, because there's a lot of force that's produced when somebody's striking or pitching or running or hitting. We get that. But if you miss the other side of it and really focus on the way the body was designed to begin with, learning how to train the muscles in a reactive manner in different planes of motion so you're not really producing, you're really reacting to your movements is the key to success. And I'm telling you, I've trained so many athletes, once they learn this concept and they get it, the performance is way off the charts. And the injury is drastically decreased if you even see the injury at all. And that's where we're missing out in sports and even in our regular training world. People are trying to lose weight, so they're producing too much motion with hips that are dysfunctional, hamstrings that are dysfunctional, abs that aren't turned on, and they're wondering why, I can't get a good calorie burner. I'm not really losing the weight that I really want to lose. Now there could be a nutritional component there too, but it all boils down to you got to have the right movement patterns and you got to train the muscles the right way reactively to get what we want out of the situation. If you don't focus on that, your training's probably off. And that's where the science leaves us today, is we need to tap more and more into this higher education to really understand how we can deliver better results to our clients and how clients who are watching this segment can get better results. And that's what it really boils down to. So the thing I want you to take from this today, muscles mainly react to decelerate motion. And then their second component is to produce motion. So if you're a trainer or a client or just someone who exercises that focuses on producing motion first, you miss the train when it comes to function. Function has left the building and you weren't on the train. So that's kind of how it works. In future posts, we're going to individualize certain muscles and show you specific exercises, how you can train functionally properly and get the results you're really looking for. This is Motion Performance Fitness, always putting motion back into life.